You guys just got a little store there.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe people don't know that they have a cool ship there, but you see, Craig Thorne, he's got what's going on.
I know. Rate, review, subscribe.
There you go.
Thanks, mate. I'll pay you afterwards.
Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C-Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 102 of Beer Now, the Shhh, the podcast. And today we are here at the Pit Caribou Brew Pub in, I guess it's a Plateau still, right?
Yes, exactly.
Plateau. With Brad Murray. Sir, thank you so much for hanging out.
Thank you, Craig, for inviting me.
Absolute pleasure. You flew in all the way from Gaspesie yesterday just for this.
That's 1,000 kilometers.
This guy. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. So first of all, what is your job role? I was gonna.
Well, theoretically, on paper or on my business cards, it says representative. But I would say that my job, I'm basically paid to talk and drink.
That's the job we all want.
Yeah.
So speaking of the drinking, we're doing the talking. Like, you've got something fantastic to start with.
Well, I think we should start off with the Flore du Québec version 3. This
version
is
3.
The third version.
This is just the third batch.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
And it's a saison?
The whole point, exactly, and the whole point of this is that we go and get the yeast ourselves. So this is actual yeast that we go and get off a tree locally called a cerisier, which is a wild cherry plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this was aged, if I'm not mistaken, 7 months in oak barrels.
Yeah. So it says here, third version, aged 7 months in
7 months
wine barrels?
In wine barrels from the Oka winery.
Winery.
Oka, which is relatively close to here, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So you'll see this is really, really nice. The third version, a little cuter.
Yeah.
Green bottle, the gold cap, you know.
So there's actually different between
Yeah.
each one. Oh wow, that smells great.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers. Get in ya. Oh wow.
Not
That's
nice.
fantastic. That's beautiful. So, first things first, let's get your beer story. So, how did you get involved with before you Pit Caribou, how did you get involved with beer? How did you fall in love with beer?
Well, obviously, growing up on the Gaspe coast, a very isolated region, a beautiful region by the ocean. Pretty young, you start off with alcohol, cheap beer, of course. You want a cheap high, and you're a teenager.
That's how you do it, right?
You go with the cheap beers.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to be childhood friends with Francis Jonca, which is one of the owners of this brewery.
Yes.
And
how many owners do they have?
They started off originally with 3.
Okay.
And now Francis is the only owner.
Okay,
Sole
so he's the
owner.
one. Perfect.
And he always told me, Brad, you're bilingual, perfectly bilingual. You love beer and you have such a big mouth. I want you. So, 11 years later, here I am.
11 years is crazy.
Yeah.
So was that one of your first? Was this your first, I guess, job in the beer world?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. I worked a little bit in a bar, but more like charging cash when you come in, things like that. Though.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, when you joined, did you sort of start at a different role and just kind of merge?
It was always publicity. It was always like a new beer comes out or there's a social event. I'm the one there serving the beer, selling the beer, meeting with the public, getting new clients. I'm Mr. PR.
Okay, so you do all the... Okay, that's why. So I was talking to Francis. I was saying I know him. I never met him, but I've spoken to him many times over the years on Facebook. I've been wanting to get a podcast with him, and he was like, you know what? His English is bad. He's going to send you. You're the man. And he's such a respected guy in the scene.
Definitely for multiple reasons. I would think the size of our brewery, we started out in, if you don't mind if we talk about the history.
No, that was my next question, so great segue.
We started out in 2007.
Okay.
2007, the hype on micro craft breweries wasn't where it is today.
No.
Okay. We started out the first year, we brewed about 15,000 liters.
Okay.
And this year, we hit the cap of 800,000 liters.
Is that, no, when you say cap meaning that's the maximum capacity you guys had?
Oh, no, I just mean cap, like...
Well, that's the real cap.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, how did it start? Like, how did the brewery come together?
Well, there was Benoit Couillard, which now owns Auval. You've probably heard of Auval.
Certainly have.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, who hasn't if you're in Quebec?
Benoit and Francis.
Yep.
They both work in construction. One was working with, it was a bricklayer. The other one was like a woodworker.
Okay.
And they had developed a passion. They were brewing beer in their basement, and they said, you know what, screw this. We want to work for ourselves. And they decided to open up Pit Caribou.
Right.
2007.
Okay. And where does the name come from? I was always wondering about that.
Pit Caribou is actually a character in a TV show, a folk TV show, Quebec show called Séraphin,
Okay.
Un homme et ses péchés.
Seraphim means, isn't that like a fairy or a pixie type of thing?
I'm not gonna lie to
Angel?
you, I don't even know. But it's a show about in the late 1800s, if I'm not mistaken, in rural Quebec.
Right.
Some guy that has money and he's like a Grinch type guy.
Okay.
But there was a character in the show whose name was Pit Caribou, who was a hardcore alcoholic. And there was always like moonshine hidden and everything, and that's kind of where the name came from.
That's
And
amazing. Is that him?
the image? No, that's not him. But the image is mainly because where we are, 1,000 kilometers east of Montreal, right by the ocean, it's Fisher. It's this fisherman's village. You know what I mean? Like right beside our shop, you actually watch the fishing boats go out in the morning to go and get the lobster.
Right.
Yeah,
That's super, very starting to come to the Maritimes type of behavior.
exactly.
That's sick, man.
Theoretically, the Gaspe Coast belongs to Quebec, but it's more of like a maritime
Like-
region if you look where it is and everything. And
Right. I've seen a lot of pictures of it. I don't know why it keeps coming up. I'm really keen to go there. And I just see that big, that's that rock thing?
Percy Rock, that's about
Yeah.
7 kilometers away from the brewery.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so the brewery operations are all completely out of Gaspesie?
Everything's out of Gaspesie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just explaining to Tiff, she didn't realize that this was actually like I didn't explain it to her properly. I should. This is like your first I was gonna say brew pub. It's not a brew pub. It's a tasting room.
It's a
essentially.
taste. Americans
room.
call it a tap room.
Tap room.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is the only one outside of Gaspesie. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
The beer is brewed in a small village called Anse-à-Beaufils,
Okay.
which is 7 kilometers west of Percé,
Okay.
the town of Percé where the big rock is.
Right.
And then in Percé we have an actual pub,
Okay.
but it's a tap room. Basically, it's called a pub, but it's a tap room, and that is called the Pit Caribou Pub. Whereas that opened up in 2014.
Okay.
Whereas this one opened up in 2016.
Right, so it is new. Okay, because we used to live not too far around the corner. And when a friend from out of town, I came here a couple of years ago with him. I think it might have just opened. I was like, "Where was this all the time? Did I just not know about it?" But 2016 makes more sense.
And what's fun about this, like I was mentioning earlier when we were off camera, is when Francis opened this up, he wanted it to be 80%. He wanted the Gaspesians that live away from the Gaspe coast, because there's a shortage of jobs where we're from.
Right.
It's mainly tourism, fishing, things like that.
Okay.
So a lot of people leave the area to come and work on construction or come and work on other things around Montreal. So he wanted those Gaspesians to have a home away from home. So he opened up this pub, and it's 80% our beers. And theoretically, I think we got some images earlier of the taps. A lot of microbreweries from eastern Quebec, Auval, Tête d'Allumette, Naufrageur, a lot of them you have a line year-round here.
Right.
So you can actually come here and get beer from eastern Quebec, which often no other bar in Montreal has.
Right. Now, that's really sick. And you also mentioned that a lot of the fixtures and all the tables and stuff were from the area too.
Exactly. So it permitted us to help local artisans do some work.
That's so sick, man. It's very cool. I didn't realize, being that I'm a foreigner not only to Canada, but, to Quebec and the region, I didn't realize there was such an attachment to that area, and to be able to bring that to the other side of the province is
Well,
amazing.
people are very proud of their regions. If you look at Quebecers, if they're from other isolated regions like the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, which has some very good microbreweries
Yes, I
there.
heard about that place.
People from there often, are exiled to go and work in other areas. It's the same thing. They do a lot of. When you speak to them, they're very proud of the region.
Right.
Same thing. People from the North Shore, Sept-Îles, Baie-Comeau. Baie-Comeau has a very nice microbrewery as well.
Okay, Sept-Îles, I've heard of that before. Seven Islands, right? And
Yes.
There's a whole microbrasserie.
There's a
there,
craft
Sept-Îles.
brewery in Baie-Comeau called Saint Pancras,
Oh yeah, I've had that.
and they actually make a beer with crab.
Oh yeah, I Dunham did one
Crab.
of those
It's a
too.
bitter.
Nice.
It's a
Okay,
bitter,
yeah.
and it's called
They just
crab.
boil it up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I remember reading about that. Okay. So there's a lot of fascinating stuff that's sort of like, being in Montreal, I feel like we're very Montreal centric.
Like
This
some
beer
more,
is,
of
yeah,
course.
please. I was actually about to say, this beer is exceptional.
It is, eh?
This is very much, I don't like to say this, like, the refinement reminds me of that Hill Farmstead type of attention to detail. Would you say that's accurate? Without
actually,
being
I think
boosting?
that's for us. That's a compliment.
So like
Hill Farmstead.
Auval
If you can be compared to Hill Farmstead, wow.
And that level of refinement of this is something about this. I'm just like, this is like so exceptionally well made. It's like someone described it to me recently. It was like, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, but it's not just like this jumbled mess. Everything is perfectly in its place.
Very well balanced.
Super well balanced.
The acidity that you see towards the end, you can tell it really comes from
A
the
little bit
aged
citrus.
barrel. Okay,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Gotta note that down, actually, the citrus. This is honestly phenomenal. So I've been listening to you talk and just enjoying this beer. Okay, so all the Gaspesie stuff. I want to ask about the I guess the beer scene. Clearly there's quite a significant beer scene, like I guess if you want to say Eastern Quebec, or at least that region. What was that region called you sort of mentioned?
Est du Québec, which
That's-
just means
East of Quebec.
East of Quebec.
Okay, so where
That
does...
starts off like in the first town that there's a new craft brewery just opened up. They pop up like mushrooms. It's called Montmagny, the town. It's about 45 minutes east of Quebec City. So it's basically everything from there down.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
significant, because Quebec City is only 3 hours east of here. Mm-hmm. Right, okay. So I guess that there's a significant amount of like beer scene out there.
Definitely.
Is there a lot of is it comparable to, say, Montreal? I feel like everyone kind of knows everyone and that type of thing. Is it like that, or is it?
The thing that I've noticed with Montreal, it's very particular. It's a large city. So when you live in Montreal, often your area, your quartier, I'm trying to think of the English word,
Like at your neighborhood?
yeah,
like,
your neighborhood, your quartier, your square, often has their own little pub, or brew pub, I should say, often. So
more often, yeah.
people often want to go to their, you just hop on bike ride. You see bikes outside.
So we
bike
go down here.
ride. You just take the metro. You go 5 minutes away, and you have your own brew pub.
Yep.
Whereas where we're from, it's not necessarily that. Sometimes you have to drive, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour.
Right. So it's a little more difficult for people to perhaps. So if they're spending the night, there's going to be a DD type of thing. Someone's going to take you there. Okay.
Exactly.
So is there like this sense of community? I guess is kind of what I'm asking. Like, I know that every time I interview anyone in Montreal, and that goes for Vermont or Toronto or anywhere else, there's a very much like, we did that something with this person, blah, blah, and everyone seems to know each other from the brewers to the owners to the sales reps to the bar staff. Like everyone.
Definitely,
knows.
it's like I tell
Similar
people
thing?
often. Sometimes people, and it always makes me laugh because they say, "Oh, that's your competitor," and they talk about like the next craft brewer that's like 200 kilometers away from me, and I say, "No, he's not my competition. My competition is Molson and Labatt. What I want every year is to go and take
Some
parts
of that shit.
of the market away from Molson and Labatt."
Right.
You know what I mean? Among us, it's like I said, Neuf Rageurs, which is the closest to us, 200 kilometers away. We have their beer here year-round on tap.
Right.
Would you do that with a competitor? No.
That's really true.
We want everyone to grow and to succeed.
Because I love that about beer. It's the best thing about it is that attitude is absolutely universal.
Exactly.
And it's very cool because it's like if I don't know if you feel this way. I've heard someone say before, like, if another brew pub opened across the street over there, they wouldn't be upset. Like, cool, this is good because it's going to bring more people in.
As long as they have different beers.
Well, yeah, that would probably be the same thing. But either way, most people, as a drinker yourself, I mean, sometimes you step back from the role in the industry and be like, all right, well, I want variety. All drinkers tend to want variety. Well, at least craft beer drinkers want
Well, you
variety.
see, like I said yesterday, on my flight up, I had a 3-hour layover in Quebec City.
Yeah.
So close to the airport is an Archibald, which a lot of people still unfortunately think is craft beer.
Yes.
It's not. It was bought by Labatt, but it's a nice place. So I was with a buddy, went there. We had 2 beers, and at least it gives you a chance to try something different.
Yeah.
Was it the best beer of the world? Definitely not. But it's better than going and having a Molson X at a casual spot. You know what I mean?
That's true, and that's one thing I absolutely agree that the faux craft, essentially, I mean, they were craft and then they sold, so now they're faux craft, and that is often a gateway because they do have the reach, they have the advertising dollars, they have
the money.
Just the money to bring the people in. I mean, that goes for all of the ones that were purchased, Mill Street, because Mill Street in Toronto, are you familiar with them?
Mill Street in 2011, our Gaspesienne, which is a robust porter, at the Canadian Brewing Awards won silver medal. We were beat out by the porter.
Vanilla porter? Or just the original porter?
It wasn't called Cobblestone or something.
Oh,
like
Cobblestone
that?
Stout. That's a stout.
Okay, in that case it was. Anyway, it was their porter that won. Yeah, it was
Nice.
Mill Street, and I thought, wow, Mill Street. I didn't know who they were. They're Toronto.
Yeah.
And the year after, they were purchased by Labatt or Molson.
One of the two, I always
Yeah.
forget. I think it's Molson. They were my gateway when I started in 2011. So they were craft and they were local. They were easy drinking. They were.
What I tell people often is honestly, like Rickard's Red. You've obviously heard of
Yep.
Rickard's Red. Now, what I tell people is Molson, who owns Rickard's Red, they own the rights to that product.
Yes.
They're actually the ones that helped and are still helping craft beer people have the success they have today. Because there was a period, I'm 34 years old, so I mean, go about 10, no, even more than that, 15 years ago. You couldn't go to a restaurant and there wouldn't be a napkin on the table, there wouldn't be a little sign saying, "Hey, Rickard's Red," or a waitress that would say, "Would you like a Rickard's Red, sir?" And at that point, people are like, "Oh, a red beer. What the? Can we swear? Can we swear on
It's
this?"
called
No.
beer and other shit, yeah. So you can say
What
whatever
the
you
fuck? A red beer in 2007.
Yeah.
So,
Not happening.
but it was always on sale and it was always being pushed.
Right.
So people actually tried the damn Rickard's Red, and then the guy would try it and say to his wife, "Wow, honey, this is good. A red beer is."
Yeah.
So that opened their mind and their taste buds to realizing there's something else than their damn blonde beer.
Yeah. That's a great point. Didn't think of it really like that. Beer like Rickard's Red would have been a
because they were pushing it so hard all across the province.
Right. And that was in Quebec specifically, yeah? Because I only moved here in 2010, so I didn't see that type of stuff. But I guess it is good that they all have... They do definitely have a role. I guess the unfortunate side would be that someone would go into an Archibald pub or something into Mill Street and they would believe that it's craft beer, and if they don't have a good experience or they think that's what it is, and this is a bit misled. It's two sides to it. It's very interesting.
I enjoy your term folk craft.
Folk craft, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy the term. First time I hear it.
You haven't heard that? Okay, yeah. Just like I feel like I didn't make it up. Of course, I read it somewhere, but I feel like it sums it up quite nicely, like what it is. And it's like it was aimed at, because I think there's two types of folk craft. There's the purchased breweries, so the ones we're just talking about, and then there's like brands, so Shock Top. That are just literally...
No, come on. The orange on that looks like he's on acid or something.
Yeah, right?
He's got the faux hawk, he's got the mohawk, and he looks like he's spaced out.
Off his head.
He's on
Off his
PCB
head.
or something.
I want some what he's having. Just not his beer. I don't want his beer. We can keep that shit.
Yeah.
But I feel like those ones that they're more manipulative, I guess, because at least the craft breweries that have been purchased, whether it's in Canada or the States, like Granville Island too, because they're everywhere, Goose Island and stuff like that, they essentially were craft and they still retain their branding for the most part, so it's authentic because it was authentic. That's what got them purchased in the first place, whereas their faux craft is literally just a product.
Exactly.
Like someone said to me the other day, Blue Moon, thank you, great one.
A Belgian Moon.
Belgian Moon in Canada, Blue Moon in the States. Which is apparently Rickard's White, same thing. So this is the other thing I learned the other day. Someone said to me, they go like, there is no Rickard's Red brewery. I was like, what do you mean? No Rickard's brewery, it's not a thing. It doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
And I was like, that means it's a product.
It's a product.
It's just a label slapped on something else, and that's why it made sense that if it's the same owners, maybe AB does Blue Moon in the States, and apparently Rickard's White was Blue Moon, because I always wondered why it wasn't.
And the first time I saw the advertisement for Blue Moon, I was with the owner of here. We were gone down to the Craft American Brewer
CBC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were down the Craft Brewer Conference.
That's
you.
the one. Yeah.
And that's where I saw this huge, this 30 foot high by 60 feet long Blue Moon advertisement, and I thought, wow, that looks good, and I tried it and it was terrible. Oh my god.
Do you know what I feel like? When I first tried it, I liked it because I was still really new, whereas I reckon if I have it now, I'd be like, what is this trash? Because we know too much now. We've gone too far. You see, this beer is going down too easy. It's gorgeous. Okay, sick. So there's
you see, this is drinks only 5%.
Oh no, I'm not even. It's like water. It's refreshing. It's the warm up. I like that we busted out the bottle stuff. I said to you earlier, I actually on Facebook, I was like, yo, we're gonna, just because I know that Pit Caribou is interesting.
Don't you just love when you see this?
Isn't it, the little drips at the bottom?
Yeah.
You can't waste a little part of it. I appreciate that about someone who's been working in a brewery for 11 years. You're not wasting a drop, because I see brewers all the time, because it's just so plentiful, just throwing shit.
No.
Not around here.
No, and it's not even a monetary aspect. It's
so good.
When you want the taste, this is where the taste is.
Ooh, it's the yeast at the bottom, the chewy stuff.
Exactly. If you look in there, see, this is clean, though.
Totally clean.
Yeah.
But I can see this, I feel like it's got slightly more opaque, maybe in your one there.
Exactly.
Just a little, not that much.
If you were to compare to, during the video, compared to the first, it was more clear, you could see through it. Yeah. That's why some brewers, we don't write it on our bottles. Depending, maybe we should for certain ones, rouse the yeast.
Okay.
Which is a term. One of my roles at Pit Caribou is I do if there's an international contest, I do the subscription and I send the beers out.
Nice.
And
you write up the notes and stuff?
Exactly. I decide which beers are going to be sent, and that's something that I saw. You're able to, if you want, check off the category, rouse the yeast.
Huh. Which means
agitate. Basically, for example, you'll serve a certain amount, and then you'll make sure that everything incorporates, and if you check that off. It's because you want the judge to do that.
Make sure
to
they get that
as much flavor as possible.
See, I noticed that recently. Sometimes we do these other videos where we do beer reviews, like maybe brewers will send us a package or whatever, and sometimes I do it by myself, sometimes I do it with someone else. And what I would do, if I'm pouring 2 glasses or I'm doing it myself but I didn't want to pour a whole thing, I'll just pour this much just so people can see it and get the point. But then after I turn off the camera, then I'll fill up a full glass of it, and then it'll be completely different. It might be an IPA and it'll be, like you said before, that, and then I'll finish it off and it'll be hazy. I'm like, I feel like I'm a bit more conscious
you could
of
have
that.
had
I feel like I didn't do it justice.
Experience.
Yeah, I didn't do the beer justice is what I'm more worried about than more so than my experience. But yeah, I didn't think that that's actually, I only learned about that
Rouse the yeast.
last year. Okay, rouse the yeast.
I'm
Look,
pretty
we're
sure
both
that's
learning.
going to be your new favorite expression.
Rouse the shit out of that yeast. I like it.
Like,
I like
hey,
that a lot.
Tiff, are we going to rouse the yeast?
Are we gonna rouse that or not? Are you rousing? Are you rousing? Hey, we're all teaching today. I like this. This is educational,
go.
folks. So as far as like, do you guys do a lot of like try and do collabs locally or anything like that, or is it sort of,
this year, 3 days ago, actually, a brewery from here called Microbrasserie. They actually came down and we did a collab.
Hell yeah!
So far this year, we also did a collab that's aging in oak barrels right now in our Shhh.
Nice.
With here in Montreal, it's called. What the fuck is it called?
It's a collab with another brewery.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you name some of the local places where you can go and have a drink here, then.
This is Buzzwell. I'm trying. Is it in this area?
Yeah. Well, I say this area on the island. Though, right?
On the island. Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm having a blank all of a sudden. Buzzwell.
Hurricana.
Oh, Hurricana. There you go.
We just did a collab with Hurricana.
Yeah, they're great. Francis is a G.
I was actually gonna. Had I known, I would have mentioned his name, Francis Richet.
Francis and Pierre, Jimmy Pierre. Tall
Probably,
French guy. Fred's in
probably
France.
if I saw him.
Yeah, I think he's one of the brewers there. He's crazy. He's mental. And Francis keeps ducking me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he knows. I saw him in Mondial. He knows. I'm gonna get him one day.
Oh, you said sorry.
Yeah, he apologized, but still, it doesn't matter. I'm still gonna call him out. So let's say they're really good. They're great with the barrel age type of stuff as well.
And that's what we're trying to specialize more and more in is the barrel age stuff. Because that's where, I won't even say that's where the money is, because theoretically it costs a lot. Because while your beer is aging, it's just an investment.
No income,
it's just, exactly.
And it could go either way.
It could go either way, but that's what the people want nowadays.
Yeah.
I think we're always like a few years behind the American.
Definitely.
You know, we're always a few years behind like the American.
A palette.
The
trends.
Trends. Thank you. I was gonna say tendencies, but
Yeah, close enough.
So obviously that's what we want: the sours, you know, the oak barrel aging.
Yeah. And it's definitely something that Quebec does really well. It's very.
From what I heard, I spoke with Ben from Auval a few days ago, and he was at Flore. He told me that, trust me, we have nothing to envy. And all these international brewers that came here, when they saw how the organization was, I think we have nothing to envy them.
I think definitely that's pretty fair. Particularly, like Quebec has really nailed that Belgian profile, where it's like the saisons, the barrel age type of stuff, the sours is really sort of moving now with the legality of what's it we can get.
That's what's really fun.
Cool shit.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because we are the first brewery to have done it. Spontaneous fermentation.
Very cool.
And it's the owner of my boss here, Francis Jonca. He actually personally made it a personal war against the war is a big word, of course, but personal battle of his against the RACG, which is the Régie des Alcools Courts et Jeux. Basically, it's the alcohol commission.
Right.
You know, they're the ones that, because it was a very old law, and it said that beer in Quebec has to actually be it has to be a human's hand that puts the yeast in.
That's ridiculous, but okay.
Okay, so that's what was stopping us in Quebec from being allowed to do the spontaneous fermentation. Because theoretically, spontaneous fermentation, if your fans know what it is, it's that you just let the beer cool off in a large open swimming pool.
Yeah,
type thing.
Like about a foot deep.
It's
deep?
it's exactly.
Yeah.
Ours is about 30. It's 3,000 liters ours, and it is about a foot deep exactly.
Yeah.
I've never tried swimming in it. I'd like to. I'm not gonna lie to you. But
next time we'll come up
next
there.
episode,
we'll swim in the course.
Three of us just hop in. Yeah.
Do the episode in there.
And
bathing in lambic.
So theoretically, you're not adding any yeast by hand.
Right.
It's that because we don't see it on camera right now, but we don't even see it with our naked eye. But there's a shitload of bacteria and yeast everywhere in the room right now.
Yeah.
Dude, there's some crazy shit right here,
cool.
right now.
Yeah. Inhaling it. Inhaling it all. Yeah. Which is sick. We went to one, this new brewery called Bench in Niagara region, Ontario. So it's my first time seeing the cool ship in person, and well, at least they had the full room. They had this upstairs room with the blinds with the slats, and then the chicken wire on the fence. So basically, you just let it. I guess you have to wait until probably September, October, when it gets a bit cooler at night, and all the natural yeast come in and stuff.
Exactly.
It's so fascinating. So it's really cool that you guys are like pioneering that out here.
And our cool ship, we're the first ones in Quebec to have it, and one of our assistant brewers actually went down to Trailway. Have you ever had Trailway? Of course.
I literally picked up on the way here. I had to go back inside because I got a delivery. I did a trade to get some.
Well, Trailway, which at the moment for their IPAs are really the brewery, in Canada, from what I'm hearing anyway. They actually asked one of our assistant brewers to go down and kind of show them how the cool ship works. Nice. Because they just purchased one.
Nice.
You see, you guys just got a little store there.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe people don't know that they have a cool ship there, but you see, Craig Thorne, he's got what's going on.
I know. Rate, review, subscribe.
There you go.
Thanks, mate. I'll pay you afterwards. I was just saying before, like I always really liked you guys. I'd had like the Creek Porter. Honestly, was my favorite beer for the longest time. I was like, before you bottled it, I tried it at Chambly. You hadn't bottled it, so I was like always trying to get that goddamn beer. And it was always, and like the IPA was one of the first ones I'd ever traded as well. And I bought one for myself and wanted to trade because I was trying to find the best IPAs in Quebec. So I grabbed that one and the Yakima from the Castor,
obviously,
which was a great option. This was 2013 around the time. And so I always had a soft spot for you guys because you were one of the first, I guess, like local breweries. I was moving to Montreal and didn't really know what the hell was going on before the podcast, but I was doing the reviews. And the more I'd gone to festivals and seen you around and the Lollipop and like whenever I had Chambly, I can picture the same booth in the same place every year. So I know exactly where it is. I always make sure I grab something from there. And just to see now the pub is here, and I've been here like 3 or 4 times. And now today, trying the range of stuff, and everything has been like, no exaggeration, beyond exceptional. Like
awesome.
I feel like I get it so much more.
But you see, that's what our goal is, the client experience. When someone comes here, I want them to leave and I want them to say, wow, what I just had was amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Not only just your own stuff, but even just like, reviewing, which while you were getting that stuff, I was just reviewing. I think it's so sick that you've got the stuff from the East Coast, the Eastern Quebec, that stuff, from the food and everything. It's just an experience, I guess.
It is. That's what it is. We want like local Gaspesians to be able to feel at home.
And I think also, like, whether you're a tourist coming from out of town or whether you're a local Montreal and you want to have some authentic Gaspesie, experience. Like,
well, if Rachel, we don't see her on the camera, but
yes.
As I mentioned, my cousin's here. A lot of Gaspesians live outside of the Gaspe coast, like Rachel, that's still looking over, and she's like, oh, I hope the camera's not looking.
It's okay.
She's smiling,
They can't see you.
But it gives Gaspesians a place to go and feel at home.
Yeah.
Whether it's the beer, whether it's the decor, whether it's the food, you can feel at home away from home.
Yeah.
That's what the whole goal of the Pit Caribou pub is.
It's fantastic. I think that's what it's all about. Man, thank you so much for that chat. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
All right.
Where can everybody reach you for your affordable rates? Okay, where can they find you?
Go through Craig and he'll fix you up.
DM us at BAOS Podcast.
Don't forget, he's the beer pimp.
Don't ever forget that. Where can we find Pit Caribou online?
www.pitcaribou.com. Got a Facebook page. There's a Facebook page for this pub here in Montreal.
Yes.
And there's also a Pit Caribou Facebook for the brewery.
Perfect. So there's both. I think there's Instagram for both as well.
Yes.
Because I always tagged the wrong one because it's Pit Caribou Pub MTL.
Exactly.
So that is perfect. Guys, thank you again, brother. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us a big fat boom, thumbs up. There you go. Thank you. Hit subscribe below, right down there. Hit the notification bell, ding, so you know when the new videos drop. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast and check out the long form audio so you can hear very attractive gentlemen like Uncle Bob here. Bless you. Who's very affordable. Rate, review, subscribe. Check us out on Spotify. We're out there now as well. That is it, guys. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Get it in ya.